Ready for brand stories? Get inspired and learn from thought leaders, CEOs, business owners, managers, entrepreneurs, and experts who tell their brand stories and share their first-hand insights. Welcome to BrandsTalk. I'm your host, Brigitte. I support entrepreneurs and organizations like you to become future market leaders by transforming their ambitions and passion into an online brand that radiates beauty, brilliance, and authenticity, attracting the clients and recognition they deserve. Let's get started and dive with me into the world of brands. My guest today is Jessica Dugas. Jessica is an intuitive mentor and inspirational entertainer, international best-selling author, and the creator of the Breakthrough Show Network. Her multi-passionate approach to entrepreneurship brings together coaching skills, endless creativity, authentic intuition, and a sense of humor, and an entertaining on-screen presence, resulting in a unique and transformative experience for her clients and fans alike. I warmly welcome Jessica Dugas. Welcome to BrandsTalk.
I'm so excited to be here with you today. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited as well, Jessica. I'm happy to have you here today, talking about your personal development, your experience in your personal journey, but also your profession and how that intertwines. I would love to start this conversation today with the question, what was your intention to start your own business in 2013?
Let me just say that there was zero intention to start my own business at all.
Okay.
I feel like I say sort of a two-handed thing. One, I feel like it all happened by accident, and two, I feel like it was all somehow divinely inspired. And so it's a mixture of both. Maybe a divine accident would be a good way to put that. I'm not sure.
Let's do that because
We'll
everything
go with
happens
that.
for a reason, right?
Yeah. But ultimately, I think looking back to childhood, I've always wanted to help people. I just never really knew what that looked like. I have this story that I tell. I'll give you the very brief version of being around 10 years old. And I remember creating a seminar. I don't know if I was watching like some kind of something on TV or what to encourage me. I have no idea where this came from, even on reflection, but I created this seminar about how to love yourself. I have no idea, again, at that age or where that came from. And it would invite my grandmother because I was living with my grandparents. I would invite my grandmother to come to this little seminar I made, and I would have like Taylor Dane's Love Will Lead You Back playing in the background and like all of these, very 80s and 90s-esque things. So I think I knew even then that I wanted to help people. And I never really knew what that looked like. I kind of bounced from thing to thing. I performed on stage. I'm a mom. I've done a lot of things that could be considered helping or entertaining in that way. And my brother actually passed away back in 2010. And he was 24 years old and 4 years younger than me at the time. And it was really a wake-up call for me. And I began my own personal and spiritual development journey. And when I started that, people kind of noticed, like, what are you doing, Jessica? Because something's different about you. And from that, I started helping other people just with what I was doing and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing in my life, and maybe it will work for you too. And snowballed from there. I'm not really sure what happened, but I knew that I wanted to help people. And I think ultimately that's the key that made me want to start my own business. And plus, I'm not really good at following rules and all of that. So I just wanted to make that for myself.
Yeah, I understand that. Not good at following rules. I'm the same way. We need to find out our own way of doing things and stick to that
Yeah.
and staying authentic by doing that. Exactly. Yeah. So you started out in 2013, but in 2018, you started the Breakthrough Show. It's
Mm.
your own network, and you created a very unique and memorable logo, but also a beautiful tagline that goes with that. And it's changing the way you look at and live your life. So tell us a little bit about how you are expressing your brand
Mm.
in terms of logo and then why that tagline. Tell us about that.
Well, the I'll start with the logo. So that's kind of been an interesting journey. I did work with someone in that creation because I kind of going off of the breakthrough, and we think of breakthrough, and we talked before our conversation today about
Mhm.
how words mean different things to different people. And when you hear breakthrough, like when I did a search, it was coming up with like glass shattering and things that may to some people look a little painful. Okay. And that's
Ah,
not what I wanted to portray with breakthrough. And I was thinking about other things that I wanted to put in there. I always knew that it would have something purple because purple's my favorite color. It always has been. And it also signifies spiritual change and things like that, which is something that I'm very passionate about. And so I knew it was gonna have that, and then I kind of thought about, the fact that my brother's passing had such an influence on the creation of my business, and his favorite color was yellow. So I said, I knew I
mm,
wanted to put something yellowish in there, and when I started thinking about it, I'm like, maybe like a sunshine, like when the sun breaks through the clouds and you have that moment of sometimes it's painful. You gotta reach for your sunglasses, like you're trying to drive, right? And the sun's coming through the
yeah,
window. But ultimately, that sun is so good for us. And it's the thing that helps us live and get through our moments to moments. And so I when I worked with my logo designer, I said, I love the idea of a sunshine. Let's work with that. And somehow it all came together and it makes sense for the breakthrough show. And as far as changing the way you look at and live your life, I have always been really passionate, especially the last 15 years or so, about the fact that when we change our own lives through a ripple effect, that changes the world, whether we realize it or not. And so I knew that the focus has to be on us first and
mm,
foremost. And those are the kinds of people that we attract to our shows, is people that are passionate about that personal and spiritual development. And just by chance, by accident, as an effect of a cause and effect situation, the world changes because we work on ourselves first.
exactly. And then it has that ripple effect to everyone else we are
Right.
somehow directly or indirectly connected with. Good. So for now, this is your logo and your tagline. But as we evolve over time as a person and then also with our businesses, your logo and your tagline might change. So do you foresee any of these changes? Do you think it's going to change in the near future? And can you give us a glimpse of what direction it might take?
I'm not sure that the tagline may change. The logo, I feel very passionate about the way that that is. That was actually something that came much later in my business.
Oh,
So even though the breakthrough show started in 2018, it used to be an eclipse was the logo, which, an eclipse for any of our woo-woo friends that are listening out there, an eclipse signifies change and transformation. And that's what breakthroughs are all about, or is that possibility of change and moving forward in our lives. And so, but because I wanted that like newness, morning, sunrise, new beginnings feeling. I really feel like that's something that we'll stick with for a while as we become more and more global, which I think we've had guests from over 30 countries now. I think maybe there will be something worldly about that they'll come in, but I don't know. We can see the sun from everywhere too. So I right
yeah.
now we're good, but if it changes, it might have something maybe more even more global added to it.
Yeah. So you're gonna infuse a more global aspect into. the logo. So the meaning is going to change a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. And now let's look behind the surface of and behind the story of your logo, because you say um, making your branding personal is essential to you. Can you elaborate on why you believe personal branding is so crucial in today's business landscape?
I think it would be very difficult for me to wake up every day and work my business, my passion, if the branding wasn't in alignment with who I am as a person. It would be no different for me than waking up and working for someone else at another company where I'm under their branding, their logo, their things. It's not mine. It doesn't belong to me. But if I expect myself to wake up every day with passion for my business, then what my branding is, my logo, my marketing, all of that stuff needs to be who I am, or I'm not going to have that passion to wake up and in the same way that you know, that I have passion for other things that aren't involved with my business. I want to have that same level that I have for my kids, for my husband, for where I live, all of those things that are very personal to me.
Yeah, yeah. And that is the thing that many entrepreneurs and business professionals struggle with with finding their
Mm.
authentic voice in branding, because you talk about this authenticity that's so important. So what tips or exercises can you recommend to help others discover and express their unique brand identity?
I think the biggest thing I've had to learn to do, and this would be like, I think a tip that I would share with everyone is to, when you put things out there, whether it's a logo, a piece of content, a video, something like that, don't go back and question yourself. Don't go
Mhm.
back and question yourself. Should I have said that? Have I said too much? Didn't I say enough? Is this the right timing? Is it going to reach the right people? Throw all of that away, because I truly have come to believe throughout several years of doing this work that the people that are meant to resonate with your message and your branding and your content that you put out there are the people that are going to find it ultimately in that moment. And that's just the way that it's worked out for me. It's also been a situation where people will come back, years after I put something out, and they'll
Oh,
and
wait.
they'll say, "Oh, thank you so much. This means a lot to me." So you just never know what you put out there, if it's going to make a difference, and when and to who. So stop questioning it. That would be my big thing. What's meant to be put out there right now is meant to be put out there right now.
Yeah, we are questioning ourselves, especially when we are putting out something that makes us very vulnerable. When we are doing
Right.
something the first time, like sharing a behind the scene video, which you usually don't do. And then suddenly you did it, you're very proud of yourself. I did it. And then before you go to bed, you start questioning yourself. Oh my God, now the whole world can see that. Was
Right.
it the right thing? Should I take it off?
Yeah.
So stick with it, and then, yeah, the
Yeah, you can
people,
always change
the
it
right people.
later. You can always, add something later or whatever, but don't once it's out there, it's out there. Don't I've actually met people who will post something or change something. They'll go back and delete it right away because they start to question it. And I'm like, if you were led to share that in the beginning, it was for a reason, and just let it go, let it ride. But I think there's something too with social media where we become this sort of addicted to that response, that immediate response
Mm.
factor. So a lot of times we'll put something out there, and if it doesn't get, 10,000 likes immediately, we're like, what's wrong? Were we supposed to put it out there? But just post it and then walk away.
And walk away.
Walk
Yeah.
away.
You can't influence it anyway. I mean, you're commenting on others' comments on your post and you keep it going,
Right.
but there needs to be the time to let it go as well.
Yeah.
Since you are having such a strong online presence and you are known for all this engaging on screen, yeah, your personality, yeah. Is there anything else that you can give as some tips or some piece of advice that helps us to build our personal brands online?
I think going back to what you said, being authentic to who you are, and sometimes that takes a long time to figure out. I feel like even now, I pick away at things every single day. Is this who I am? Is this who I want to be? And am I wearing a mask as I'm putting something out, or is this truly who I am as a person? Because one of the things I started thinking about, especially now, I recently moved back to my home state of Connecticut last year, and I'm wanting to do more in-person things. I've been working online for a really long time, and I've been wanting to do more in-person things and events. And I've asked myself a very difficult question, which is, if I meet someone in person, are they going to get the same person face to face that I present online? And if the answer is no, then we have to ask ourselves, how can we change this to authentic behavior? And I think that that's something that's really important, because I always want to be the same person right here having a conversation with you today as if we got to meet and hug in person and all of that.
Exactly, exactly. And you're bringing me to the next question, because that is a point, because we are playing a role, a certain role when we are a business owner, when we are going online, but also you are a devoted wife. You have been homeschooling, you're homeschooling mom of 6
Mm.
children, right? So you're playing a role as a mom, as a devoted wife. And how does that blend with your entrepreneurial pursuits? And how has that influenced your brain?
I think for me, it's interesting because if I was working, when I think back to several years ago when I did work outside of the home, it was more difficult for me to be present for my husband, for my family, and even for myself, because you find yourself, I think, split between a lot of different things and wearing hats at different times and having to go on other people's schedule, which I mentioned I'm not good at rule following or following other people's schedule. And so I feel like being able to work from home and have my own business allows me a flexibility to be able to do things when I feel they need to be done, to be able to find a harmony and a flow rather than trying to search for a balance, which I don't feel like exists. I feel like being able to just flow with whatever happens in the moment is really important. It also, being a mom and having kids literally just outside the door here at any given time, has helped me to be more authentic, because you just have to roll with what happened. So I will give you a very brief story. Season 1 of my show, I had a little office space in my house, and my young one was, I think she was about 2. And little ones have no shame at all. They just don't care, and we're live on air, and she gets stark naked in the other room and runs right in front. I mean, you couldn't see anything, but she runs right in front of the camera, just runs. And you just think, okay, you couldn't see anything, but it was the whole point of like, well, that was something. You just have to, you learn to keep going. You learn to have a sense of humor because stuff happens. And so I feel like it's really helped me to just flow with things and laugh and have fun, and just be who I am, because I can't be anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many things that we can control, and there are other things that are out of our
Yep.
control. It's just happening. And as you say, you have to roll with it and have a sense of humor as well. I
Yeah.
remember my time as a flight attendant. Not everything was running according to procedure.
Right.
Suddenly you're 50 meals short, or
Yeah.
something else is happening, and there's nothing you can do. You can only troubleshoot and only, yeah, do your best in that time. And also, as a professor, things are happening, and you just deal with it. And
Mm,
it's the way of how you do it. And these are the stories that you tell, and that's how you connect with others. It's
right.
it's these it's these situations, these magic moments actually, that people remember. And yeah, that is becomes part of your personality and becomes part of your brain.
Right.
You better integrate that.
Yeah. if you can't work in all of that stuff, then again, when you meet someone in person and that stuff is happening, they're going to go, who is this person? We've never seen this before. And, or if something, even if it's just online and something happens out of the blue, I like people to know what they're getting, and to understand who I am as a person so that there isn't that shock moment where they have to question if she's not being authentic about who she is in her personal life, then how can we trust her to be authentic in working with her in business?
That brings me to another point
Mm,
because you have such a strong online presence. And from your perspective, I would like to know how much personal life should we integrate into our professional life? Where is the cutoff? Where is the
mm.
balance? Where is it too much?
I think that's a really tough question. I think it
Mhm.
depends on every single person. For me, I've always been I wear whatever on my sleeve kind of person. I will share a good amount of what I'm dealing with in my personal life, because for me, being a storyteller and also creating the space for other people to tell stories, that my own stories in my life have been such a pivotal part of my journey and where I'm at today and where I'm going in the future. And but I think it depends on how vulnerable you are willing to be. I think it depends on what type of work you're doing. I don't anticipate that someone who is, say, for example, um, I don't know, a CPA. Just
Yeah, yeah.
pulling it out something out of a hat here. But I don't imagine that someone that's a CPA would need to be as vulnerable as someone who is teaching people to share their stories. I mean,
Exactly.
it's a different sort of thing. And it also depends on your personal beliefs and things as well. I have several friends who have children who are an absolute no when it comes to sharing about their children online. And I respect that 100%. And so it depends on what you're comfortable with, how vulnerable you're willing to be. But from my perspective, I have never not benefited from sharing the truth of what I'm dealing with, in my own personal life.
Yeah. I think you're totally right. It really depends on the industry. It
Mm,
depends on what you're doing. It depends on how much with how much are you feeling comfortable? Sometimes we need to challenge ourselves, stepping out of this comfort zone and
right,
show a little bit about our personal life or how it is behind the scenes, right? And I think that really makes an impact because we connect with people's hearts first.
right,
That is the important thing because that's where we remember when it touches our heart first, right? And you also have touched and still touching hearts with your book because you're also an international best-selling author. That's a significant achievement.
thank
Can
you.
you tell us a little bit about it and how that writing journey has helped you in your branding efforts? And maybe what other aspiring authors can take away from that experience?
I think for me, again, just like the business, I never planned on writing. It was an opportunity that fell into my lap after my brother passed away. About 7 years after he passed away, right before the Breakthrough Show was born, I had the opportunity to write the story of when he passed away and how that impacted my life. And it was through that method of storytelling, and it was through that experience that I thought, God, when we tell our stories, it helps to heal us. It helps us to reach a different level of healing that maybe we haven't been able to reach before. It also helps to heal other people as they're reading our story and maybe they're able to relate. Maybe they feel less alone. And then the third part is that when I wrote this story, there was someone else who had experienced my brother's passing as well. And they said to me, "Thank you for writing this because I wasn't able to process it when it happened. And through reading your perspective, I was able to sort of revisit that and go over it again." And this is a person who wouldn't have previously thanked me. They wouldn't have come up to me and said anything like that. So it brought us together. So I found that storytelling to be threefold and healing ourselves, helping to heal other people, and then healing relationship and bringing us together. And so through doing that, that was how the breakthrough show itself was born, was going, look, it's important for us to share stories. And maybe I was born in a different time when we were all sitting around campfires and and sharing stories, and that's all we were doing. I don't know. But it's something that writing process and realizing the power of storytelling was the fuel that birthed all of what I'm doing today.
And that also translates into the breakthrough show because you're also inviting guests. Can you tell us a little bit about how that all comes together there, how you express your passion and ambition in your breakthrough show?
I think, going back to the storytelling aspect, I'm genuinely interested in people's stories. I often will come off of the breakthrough show feeling so selfish and spoiled, really, because I get the privilege of sitting and listening to all of these incredible stories. But I think we were talking about the tagline, changing the way you look at and live your life. When you hear other people's stories, you are hearing about perspectives outside of your own bubble. And when we do that, it helps us to realize if we can relate, we're not alone in the world. And if we can't relate, maybe it helps us to have a new level of compassion for other people, or understanding that, hey, not everything around the world is how it looks like inside my own home, my own city, my own state, my own country, wherever that is. And I think it's really important to have those different perspectives. But like I said, I've welcomed people from over 30 countries onto the show, different religions, different backgrounds, businesses. We've had entertainers, musicians, magicians. We've had a chicken on the show. We had all kinds of stuff.
I have to listen to that.
So I love the different people and species and places, and the representation of just all of those different things continues to blow me away, and makes me very emotional just thinking about it, about how many people can pick an episode, and you will find a piece of yourself in one of the shows.
Yeah, you're finding a piece of yourself. I think that is so true. And that is also something that we have in common, listening to stories. That's why I have my podcast, because when I was a kid, I didn't like to read books. I wanted people to pay the attention to me and read me books.
Yeah.
So I just enjoyed that, listening there, waiting, and do read stories to me. I just loved it, and I still do. And I was always dreaming about certain things and indulge in this kind of joy every time when I have someone on my show and listen and learn. And there is something in everything. You can take something out that is enriching your life and that makes you happy, and that you can connect with in one way or in another. Yeah,
What a privilege that is. What an honor that is to be able to
exactly.
hear someone else's story.
Exactly. Jessica, is there anything else that we forgot about? We want to share? You want to share? Is there anything on your side that is coming up that you want to share with us?
Oh my gosh. Well, like I said, I'm doing a lot more in person here in New England, in Connecticut and surrounding areas, and super excited to hopefully be hosting an in-person event coming up. So stay tuned for more information on that. And then also, we have a lot of special editions of the Breakthrough Show coming out within the next couple of months, including our fabulous host here today. It's going to be joining us as well.
Yes.
Shameless plug. And also, we've got some incredible musicians coming up with new music that is going to just make you cry, which I'm a big fan of that as well. And so we just have a lot of really amazing things happening. And I also want to encourage everybody that if you feel like you have a story to tell, or you enjoy creating that space for other people's stories, I would love to chat with you about having your own show, because I think it's such a great way to get your information out to the world and have fun while you're doing it, because that's super important as well.
Wonderful. I'm going to share that in the show notes with our audience. And before we are finishing up the show today, Jessica, I would like to do a quick word wrap with you. Are you ready to
Sure.
give me short answers? Okay. So these are terms very familiar to you. Success. What does success mean to you?
Joy. Success means joy and being in love with what you're doing.
Story.
Ooh, that's learning, connection, um, vulnerability.
It's got so much meaning, right? Story
It does.
is so universal. Entrepreneurship.
Ooh, a learning, learning lesson. Freedom as well.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. It's one of my values. It's my fifth
Mm.
value is freedom. And entrepreneurship is freedom for
Yeah,
me. Doing what I
absolutely.
want,
Not having to
playing by
follow
others'
those
rules.
rules.
Yes. Entertainment.
Fun, necessary. Laughter, but also learning too. I'm a firm believer that through music, movies, shows, books, even raunchy reality TV, there are lessons to learn and fun to be had.
Yes. I somehow hear between the lines, there's learning. There's always learning involved. I like that because I love learning too.
Good. I wasn't sure how that was going to come off, but
No, it comes off very well. Totally. Two more. Homeschooling.
that's been a journey and fun, and also ties into freedom as well. And to be able to give our children the opportunity to learn what they are passionate about and also learn things that in ways that books can't teach us.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's life, right? It's
Life.
the life learning with this
Absolutely.
uncertainty. We get presented with a situation nobody would ever imagine that we're gonna get in, right?
Mhm.
It's another learning, right? In there.
Yeah, another one.
And last but not least, brands.
Mm. Brands. I think it's about authenticity ultimately, and an opportunity to learn, but also to teach who we are in more than just words, through our actions, through images and colors and sayings. And I mean, just it's an opportunity. I think that would be a good word, an opportunity.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you.
Wow, it's a pleasure. And it was a pleasure to have you on this show today to share with us what we find behind your logo, the Breakthrough Show Network's brand identity. And yeah, and all the learning, right? We take away.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you like my show, follow BrandsTalk on your preferred app, share it on social media, and if you find a minute or two, leave a quick rating or review. Thank you so much. If you want me to guide you to become a future market leader by transforming your ambitions and passion into an online brand that radiates beauty, brilliance, and authenticity, attracting the clients and recognition you deserve, drop me an email. I'd love to be your guide on your hero journey. Check out my website, BridgetBrands.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I hope you will stay tuned in on the next episode when we dive into the world of brands.